Welcome to Night Whispers. Tonight, you can relax, let your thoughts slow down, and allow the night to settle in. Here, you will hear calm, paranormal stories. Stories based on real experiences, quiet places, strange encounters, and things that cannot always be explained. There are no loud sounds here, no sudden noises, just a calm voice, the darkness, and the whispers of the night. You leave the last strip of daylight without quite realizing when it happens. The edge of the road dissolves behind you like a line that was never truly there. Asphalt fades into loose earth, and the distant hum of the world thins until it is no more than a memory vibrating in your bones. The air changes first, cooler, deeper, heavier, as if you have stepped not only into a forest, but into another layer of the night. The trees rise ahead of you in quiet formation. They do not move. They do not bend. They simply stand, tall, patient, ancient, their bark dark with years of unseen rain, split and braided with cracks that resemble old scars. No wind passes through their branches, yet the canopy seems to shift subtly, like a slow breath held at the brink. You step forward. Your foot sinks softly into a bed of needles, damp leaves, and moss so thick it swallows sound. Every movement is absorbed before it can echo. The forest does not echo. It gathers. Light here is wrong in a gentle way. It does not shine, it filters, broken into pale threads that slide between branches and fall in uneven patterns across the ground. Shadows do not lie flat. They rise, leaning between trunks, stretching like figures that have chosen stillness. For a moment, you stand exactly where the forest begins to deepen. You feel neither welcomed nor rejected. You simply feel drawn inward, as though gravity itself has shifted direction. You take another step. The silence is not empty. It is textured, layered with the faint hum of life so subtle you almost miss it, distant insects whispering, the low groan of wood settling into itself, the barely perceptible pulse of something vast beneath the soil. It is a silence that listens. Your breathing slows without your permission. Inhale, the air tastes of wet bark, cold earth, and something older, buried beneath centuries of leaves. Exhale, and the space in front of you seems to answer. Not with wind. Not with sound. With presence. You walk deeper. The trees close in, not physically, but perceptually, as if the spaces between them have narrowed. Trunks grow thicker, their roots twisting above the ground like frozen veins. Moss clings to their sides in velvet layers, soft and dark, swallowing what little light remains. Somewhere far ahead, a branch creaks. Not snapping. Not breaking. Just shifting under its own weight, like a sleeping body turning in an ancient bed. You pause. The sound lingers in the air longer than it should, reverberating silently in your chest rather than your ears. The forest holds it, rolls it through itself, and lets it settle. You continue. The deeper you go, the less you feel like a traveler and the more you feel like something passing through a memory that is not yours. The ground dips and rises in subtle waves, as though you are walking across the ribs of something immense buried beneath you. Your footsteps become quieter. Not because you are trying, but because the forest expects it. At first, you do not notice the change. Then you feel it, barely, at the edge of perception. A movement of air. Not wind. Not a breeze. A slow, deliberate exhale brushing against your cheek, cool, damp, intimate. It carries the scent of deep soil and decay long finished, of rain that fell decades ago and never truly left. You stop. The air moves again. Inhale. Exhale. The forest is breathing. Not like a living animal. Not like lungs filling with air. But like something vast and patient adjusting its weight in the darkness. A rhythm too slow to belong to any creature you know. You stand still. And the forest continues. Slow. Steady. Unseen. Your heart begins to match the cadence, not out of fear, but inevitability. You are inside its rhythm now. There is no step you can take that is not part of it. Ahead, the path, if it can be called that, vanishes into deeper shadow. The ground grows darker, wetter. Pools of black water collect between roots, reflecting fractured glimpses of the canopy above like shattered mirrors. You notice marks along the trunks. At first, they look like stains, dark patches where rain has soaked too deeply into the bark. But the longer you look, the less random they appear. They stretch and twist along the grain of the wood, seeping into cracks, thickening where the bark splits. They are not written. They are not carved. They are imprinted, as if shadows themselves pressed inward and never left. You take a step closer to one of them. For an instant, just an instant, the mark seems to deepen, growing richer, fuller, as though something beneath the surface had stirred. You step back. The mark returns to stillness. The forest breathes again. You realize you are no longer simply walking through a place. You are moving through an attention that stretches far beyond your sight. Every tree feels aware, not in a human sense, but in the way something ancient might be aware of a small disturbance passing through its body. A twig cracks far to your right. Softly. Carefully. As though someone tested the ground before committing to a step. You turn, but there is nothing. Only trunks. Only shadows. Only the slow drift of darkness pooling between them. Yet the space feels watched. Not hostile. Not curious. Just observant, as if you are being measured, catalogued, remembered. You move again. The forest grows quieter the deeper you go, but the silence becomes heavier. It presses against your skin, settling in the spaces between breaths. Even your thoughts begin to slow, stretching thin, drifting like smoke caught in still air. Light fades. The canopy above thickens until the sky becomes a distant, fragmented thing. The world narrows to trunks, roots, shadows, and the slow, patient breathing that surrounds you. You come to a place where the ground dips sharply, forming a shallow hollow ringed by towering trees. Their branches intertwine overhead, sealing the space in a twilight darker than the forest beyond. Here, the air is colder. Here, the silence is deeper. You stop at the edge of the hollow. For a moment, you feel the strange certainty that this place was not made by chance, that the forest shaped it intentionally, like a chamber carved within itself. You step inside. The earth beneath your feet is softer here, spongy with centuries of fallen leaves and unseen water. The marks along the trunks grow darker, more numerous, as if they converge toward this center. You stand in the hollow. The forest breathes. Your breath answers. Inhale, and the darkness seems to expand. Exhale, and the shadows draw closer. A faint sound drifts through the trees, not wind, not animal, not human. A low, distant murmur that carries no words but presses meaning into your bones. You cannot see it. But you know. The forest is not merely watching you. It is remembering you. Your name, or something like it, brushes past your ear, carried not by air, but by the weight of the space itself. Not a call. Not a warning. Just a quiet acknowledgement. You are here. And the forest knows. Light dims further. The edges of the hollow blur. You feel your own heartbeat slow, aligning with the forest's breath, until the boundary between your body and the darkness becomes indistinct. You realize you could leave. But you also understand that leaving will not erase this moment. The forest will carry it, layered into its roots, woven into its bark, absorbed into its endless memory. Shadows gather along the trunks. The canopy above tightens. And before you take your next step, the hollow seems to lean inward, as though the forest itself is bending slightly to look at you more closely. Not threatening. Not welcoming. Simply knowing. You stand at the center of its attention, small, breathing, temporary, inside something vast, ancient, and awake. And in that stillness, you understand one thing without being told. This forest does not forget. You step out of the hollow, or believe that you do. But the forest does not release you. It only reshapes itself around you. The ground grows wetter, softer, colder. Each step sinks as if the earth remembers your weight and does not want to let it go. The path, if there ever was one, has vanished. Direction is no longer yours to choose. The trees stand too close now. Not all of them are where they were before. You do not notice it at first. Only a subtle wrongness in the air. Then you see it, a trunk blocks the way that was open moments ago. A passage that existed has simply disappeared. You stop. The forest does not move. It reconfigures. Somewhere behind you, wood creaks, slow, deliberate, like a joint bending after centuries of stillness. You turn. Nothing. but the distance between the trees has changed. The air drops in temperature, suddenly, sharply, as if an unseen door has opened nearby. Shadows stretch longer, darker, heavier, leaning inward. You feel eyes on you. Not from one place, from everywhere at once. You take another step. A root beneath your foot shifts. Not breaking. Not cracking. Just moving, like muscle under skin. You freeze. Ahead of you, a twig snaps, too careful to be accidental. You look toward the sound. Empty. Yet the space feels narrower. The trunks seem closer, not visibly, but unmistakably, as if the forest is leaning a fraction of an inch inward. Pressure builds around you, slow and constant, like walls beginning to close. The forest's breath deepens. Heavier. Closer. Slower. New dark marks appear along the bark, where there were none before. Fresh. Deep. Too defined. One of them pulses faintly, like a bruise breathing beneath the skin of the tree. You step back. And then the thought lands, cold, certain, inescapable. You did not enter the forest. You are inside its body. Between the trunks, shadows thicken into corridors that were never there. They do not lead outward. Only deeper. Behind you, another long creek drifts through the trees, nearer this time. You do not turn around. Because you already know. If you do, the world will change again. The forest is no longer just watching. It is guiding you. You move forward, because standing still feels even worse. Somewhere close, something shifts in the darkness without revealing itself. Slow. Quiet. Patient. You realize this is not pursuit. It is alignment. The forest adjusts space around you until you stand exactly where it intends. You are no longer a visitor. You are a detail in its pattern. And ahead, where the darkness gathers thickest, waits the place it is leading you, silently, inevitably, with no exit. The forest does not move the way a living thing should. Trees stand completely still, their branches stretched like frozen hands, yet the space between them feels restless. The darkness is not empty, it drifts, thick and patient, sliding along the ground like slow water without sound. You walk deeper, not because you want to, but because the path seems to decide for you. Each step lands too softly, as if the earth itself is absorbing your weight before you can feel it. Your footsteps do not echo. They vanish instantly, swallowed by the soil. The air grows colder, but not in a natural way. It feels aware, brushing your skin, circling your body, testing your presence. Every breath tastes faintly of wet leaves, rusted iron, and something older beneath the earth. Above you, the branches creak, though no wind moves them. The sound is slow, deliberate, like bones adjusting in the dark. It comes from everywhere at once, making it impossible to tell where the forest is looking. You pause. For a moment, the woods seem to pause with you. Even the distant night creatures fall silent. No insects. No birds. No whisper of movement. The stillness is so complete that your own heartbeat feels loud, too loud, as if the trees are listening to it. Then the feeling arrives. Not a sound. Not a shadow. Not a shape. Just the unmistakable sense that you are being watched from all directions. Not by something standing behind a tree, but by the trees themselves. Their bark feels like eyes, their roots like hidden fingers tangled beneath your feet. The forest does not hunt you. It studies you. A faint mist begins to rise from the ground, thin and pale, weaving between trunks like breath escaping the soil. It does not drift away. Instead, it flows toward you, curling around your legs before slipping past and disappearing deeper into the darkness. You notice something strange. The deeper you go, the narrower the path becomes, yet you cannot remember seeing it change. The trees seem closer now, not because you moved toward them, but because they moved toward you while you were looking elsewhere. A soft cracking sound ripples through the ground beneath your feet. Not a branch snapping, something deeper, slower, as if the earth itself is shifting its weight. You do not see movement, but you feel it passing under you like a living pulse. You turn back. The way you came from is still there, but it looks different. Darker. Narrower. Less welcoming. The trees on either side lean inward just enough to make you hesitate. For a heartbeat, You are certain something stands there, just beyond the path, hidden perfectly within the shadows. You stare, but nothing appears. Still, the sensation does not fade. You continue forward. The forest grows quieter. The mist thickens. The air feels heavier with every step, as though the woods are closing gently around you, not to trap you, but to include you within their silence. Then you hear it. A faint sound, not a voice, not wind, not an animal. Something between breath and movement, sliding through the roots beneath the ground. It feels close, yet distant, as if the forest itself is murmuring in a language you almost understand. You stop again. The sound stops with you. You move. It resumes. Not threatening. Not aggressive. Just present, following, mirroring, acknowledging your passage through this ancient place. Ahead, the path disappears into deeper darkness, where the mist coils thicker and the trees stand impossibly tall, their tops lost in black sky. No stars shine here. No moonlight reaches the ground. For a moment, you feel a chilling certainty. You are no longer walking through the forest. You are walking inside its memory. And it remembers everything that has ever crossed its borders. You take one final breath before stepping further in. The air fills your lungs, cold, heavy, alive. And the forest exhales in return. The deeper you go, the less the forest feels like a place you are walking through, and the more it feels like something you have stepped inside. The path is still beneath your feet, yet it no longer looks like a path at all. It is simply a strip of ground that the trees have chosen to leave open, as though they could close it at any moment if they wished. The soil is dark, damp, and silent, absorbing every step before it can fully exist. Your breathing slows without effort. Not because you are calm, but because the air seems to require it. Each inhale feels heavier, thicker, as if the forest has mixed its own breath with yours. Each exhale lingers longer than it should, drifting between the trunks and vanishing into the mist. The trees stand closer now. Not dramatically, not like they have stepped forward, but enough that the space between them feels tighter, more intimate, more deliberate. Their bark is rough and uneven, etched with lines that resemble ancient scars or silent symbols no one remembers how to read. You glance at one trunk as you pass. For a brief moment, the patterns in the bark seem to shift, not physically, but in perception, like faces hiding within wood, watching from beneath the surface. Then the illusion fades, leaving only tree again. Above you, the canopy is so thick that no light reaches the ground. The sky might as well not exist. The world feels reduced to trunks, roots, mist, and darkness, as if everything beyond this forest has simply stopped being real. A faint sound drifts through the ground. Not footsteps. Not wind. Not water. Something deeper, like the slow movement of roots beneath the soil, stretching, tightening, rearranging themselves around your presence. You feel it through your feet, a subtle pressure that rises into your legs before dissolving into the earth again. You pause. The forest pauses with you. No insects. No distant animals. No movement in the leaves. Even the mist seems to hold its shape, hovering between trunks like breath frozen in cold air. Your heartbeat feels too loud now. You can almost imagine that the trees can hear it, feel it traveling through the ground into their roots. Then you notice something unsettling. Behind you, the path looks different than it did moments ago. Not gone, but altered. The trees on either side appear slightly closer together, their shadows overlapping where they did not before. The darkness between them feels thicker, deeper, more impenetrable. For a heartbeat, you are certain that something stands just beyond that darkness, not visible, not defined, but perfectly aligned with your awareness. You stare. Nothing moves. Yet the sensation remains. You turn back and continue forward. The mist thickens as you walk, curling around your legs, slipping past your knees, brushing your hands like something alive. It does not feel cold anymore, only present, intimate, deliberate. You begin to notice small details that did not exist before. Roots crossing the path like veins beneath skin. Branches bent at unnatural angles. Fallen leaves arranged in circular patterns. Nothing violent. Nothing grotesque. Just wrong in a quiet, undeniable way. A soft cracking sound ripples beneath the ground again, slower this time, deeper, like the forest shifting its weight around you. The sensation travels outward from where you stand, spreading through the earth like a pulse. You stop again. This time, the forest does not stop. The mist continues to drift. The branches creak faintly above. The darkness seems to breathe between the trunks. You realize something chilling. You are no longer leading your movement. The forest is. The path curves ahead, disappearing into deeper shadow where the mist coils thick and pale. You cannot see what lies beyond, yet you feel drawn toward it, not pushed, not forced, but gently guided. A faint sound rises from somewhere ahead. Not a voice. Not wind. Not an animal. It is closer now, clearer, like breath moving through roots, traveling up into trunks and whispering through bark. It feels ancient, impersonal, and impossible to interpret. You take one slow step toward it. The sound responds immediately, growing slightly louder, as if acknowledging your choice. You step again. It shifts, drifting closer. Not threatening. Not welcoming. Just present, following your rhythm, mirroring your movement, answering your presence. You glance to the sides. The trees seem to lean inward, not physically, but in feeling, as if the space itself has narrowed around you. Their shadows stretch across the path, overlapping, merging, creating shapes that almost resemble figures standing between the trunks. Almost. You turn quickly. Nothing. Only bark, darkness, and drifting mist. Yet the feeling lingers, sharper now, clearer, impossible to dismiss. The forest is not just watching you anymore. It is responding to you. A cold realization settles in your mind. Every step you take is being recorded, not by sound, but by memory woven into the soil, roots, and trunks around you. You are leaving no marks. Yet the forest remembers. Ahead, the path opens slightly, revealing a small clearing shrouded in mist. The ground there looks smoother, darker, untouched by footsteps, as if no one has ever crossed it. At its center stands a single tree. Taller than the others. Thicker. Older. Its bark is twisted and split in deep, winding grooves that resemble veins. Its branches stretch outward in impossible angles, reaching toward the darkness above like hands frozen in mid-motion. The faint sound you heard earlier seems to come from here. Not from the tree itself, but from the ground beneath it. You stop at the edge of the clearing. The mist swirls gently around your legs, then drifts toward the central tree, curling around its roots before dissolving into the soil. For a moment, the entire forest feels focused on this single point. The silence deepens. The air thickens. The ground hums faintly beneath your feet. You understand something without being told. This is not a place you stumbled upon. This is a place the forest led you to. Behind you, the path feels farther away than it should, as though distance itself has stretched. The darkness between the trees looks denser, heavier, more final. You could leave. Technically. But the forest no longer feels like it would simply let you go. Ahead, the sound beneath the central tree grows slightly louder, still not a voice, still not wind, but something alive in a way you cannot define. It does not call you. It waits. You take one slow breath. The air fills your lungs, colder now, heavier, tasting of damp earth, decay, and something ancient buried deep beneath the roots. And in that breath, the forest answers. Not with sound. Not with movement. With presence, rising slowly from the ground, spreading through the clearing, settling around you like a quiet, inevitable truth. You stand there, on the edge of the clearing, between path and darkness, between what you know and what the forest remembers. The mist coils. The branches creak. The ground hums. And somewhere beneath the central tree, something shifts, slowly, deliberately, and undeniably alive. You take one more step forward. The forest does not resist. It receives you. You step onto the edge of the clearing, and the forest changes again, not suddenly, not loudly, but in a way that is almost impossible to notice at first. The path behind you still exists, yet it feels distant now, as if you are seeing it through a layer of mist that stretches reality itself. The trees there no longer look like simple trees, they feel like a living wall, attentive and silent. The clearing before you breathes differently than the rest of the forest. The ground here is darker, denser, as if it has absorbed something ancient deep into its soil. There is no grass, no moss, only smooth, damp earth, like skin hiding something beneath it. At the center stands the ancient tree. Its trunk is impossibly thick, covered in deep cracks that resemble veins. The bark does not merely look old, it feels remembered, as if every line carries the imprint of events long forgotten. Its branches stretch outward at strange angles, intertwining above you so tightly that the sky no longer exists. Even if the moon were shining tonight, its light would never reach this place. You take another step forward. The ground answers, not with sound, but with a subtle vibration that rises through the soles of your feet and spreads up your body. It is not a tremor of fear. It is a tremor of presence. The faint sound you heard earlier becomes slightly clearer. Not a voice. Not wind. Not an animal. It feels like slow movement beneath the earth, as if roots are shifting, not randomly, but deliberately, rearranging themselves around you. The mist begins to gather more thickly. It no longer simply drifts, it flows, curling slowly around the base of the ancient tree like breath escaping from the soil itself. You notice something strange. The mist avoids you. It does not touch your skin directly. Instead, it moves around you, as if respecting an invisible boundary the forest is not yet ready to cross. You stop. And in that moment, you understand, you are no longer alone. Not in the sense that someone stands beside you. In the sense that everything around you is aware of you at once. Every tree in the clearing feels connected to this single ancient trunk, as if it is not just a tree, but the heart of the entire forest. A slow creak travels through the branches above you. Not from wind. Not from weight. It sounds like ancient breath stretched across centuries. You look down. Beneath your feet, the earth feels alive, not moving, but gently pulsing. Every thought you have seems to cause a faint change in the ground, like ripples on water. You take a small step closer to the tree. Then something unsettling happens. You feel the ground beneath the trunk rise slightly, not visibly, but perceptibly through your body, as if something massive and slow has shifted deep below. The sound grows stronger. Now it truly resembles breathing, slow, deep, inhuman, rising from beneath the roots. You realize, this is not just a forest. It is an organism. And this tree is its center. The mist begins to climb higher, wrapping around the trunk, coiling like a living thing. For a moment, shapes seem to appear in the bark, not faces, not figures, but traces of what has once been here. The shadows between the trees grow denser. They do not move. They do not approach. Yet they feel more attentive, as if countless eyes are hidden within the darkness itself. You turn your head back. The path is still there, but it looks smaller, narrower, as if the forest is quietly erasing it from reality, leaving you with only one real choice, to go forward. A cold realization settles in your mind. You did not come here by chance. The forest led you here intentionally. You turn your gaze back to the ancient tree. Its roots emerge from the earth, twisting, intertwining, disappearing into darkness. Some of them look too smooth, too even, as if they have been touched by more than time alone. You take another step. And then the ground beneath the tree responds to you directly. Not with movement. Not with sound. With feeling, heavy, deep, inevitable. You sense something rising from the depths, not toward you, but near you, as if the forest is testing your presence, measuring your breath, weighing your existence. The mist around the roots thickens. It is no longer simple vapor, it looks like breath escaping from the earth itself. You stand almost beside the trunk now. Up close, the bark looks even more alive, deep fissures resembling veins that seem to lead somewhere far beneath the soil. If you placed your hand on the tree, you are certain you would feel a pulse. You stop. The forest stops with you. No rustle. No sound. No movement. Only slow breathing beneath your feet. And then you understand something even more frightening. This place is not just ancient. It remembers everything that has ever happened here. Every step. Every person. Every creature. And now, it is remembering you. You look into the darkness between the trees. There is nothing there. Yet you feel that the entire forest is watching you, not with eyes, but with its very essence. You take one final step toward the tree. The ground beneath you yields slightly, as if receiving your weight differently than before. The sound beneath the roots grows louder, not terrifying, but unavoidable. In that moment, you realize you are no longer standing on the boundary between the human world and the forest. You are already inside its memory. The mist coils around you. The branches creak softly above. The ground hums beneath your feet. And somewhere deep beneath the ancient trunk, something shifts, slowly, deliberately, undeniably alive. You take a breath. Cold air fills your lungs, smelling of damp earth, old bark, decaying leaves, and something ancient buried far too deep for humans to understand. And the forest exhales in return. Quietly. Heavily. Inevitably. You stand at the heart of the forest, and it knows you are here. You remain standing beside the ancient tree, and the clearing feels different now, not louder, not darker, not closer, but more aware. The forest is no longer simply watching you. It is listening. Not with ears, not with movement, but through the soil beneath your feet, through the air around your body, through the slow pulse that travels up the trunk of the tree and spreads into every root. The mist no longer swirls wildly. It moves with intention, drifting in soft, circular patterns around the base of the tree, then sliding outward into the clearing. It does not touch you, but it shapes the space around you, as if outlining something invisible that stands at your side. Your breathing slows even further. Not because you are afraid, but because the forest seems to guide it, gently, patiently, drawing you into its rhythm. On every inhale, the ground beneath you feels slightly softer, as though the earth receives your breath before your lungs do. On every exhale, the soil tightens again, holding your presence within it like a memory it refuses to forget. You place your hand on the bark of the ancient tree. It is colder than you expected, not icy, but deeply cool, like something that has existed beneath the surface of the world for centuries. The rough surface presses against your skin, and for a moment you feel more than texture. You feel movement beneath it. Not the movement of wind or sap. A slow, deliberate pulse, vast, ancient, and inhuman. For a heartbeat, your own pulse seems to slip into that rhythm, as though the tree has momentarily borrowed your breath and given you its own in return. Above you, the branches creak softly. Not in response to wind, there is none. The sound feels like language, stretched thin across time, too slow for human understanding, yet filled with meaning you can almost sense. The ground hums beneath your feet again. This time the vibration is steadier, deeper, more unified, like a distant tide rolling through the forest's roots. It travels outward from the ancient tree, passing beneath you, moving through the clearing, and disappearing into the darkness between the trunks. You realize something quietly unsettling. The forest is not speaking to you in words. It is speaking in presence. You take one slow step back from the trunk. The moment you do, the ground answers. Not with sound. With pressure, subtle, careful, guiding, as though the earth itself has leaned slightly toward you, refusing to let distance grow between you and the tree. You stop. The sensation stops with you. You move again. The forest follows. Not chasing, not pushing, simply mirroring your presence in perfect silence. The mist shifts. It rises slightly higher now, curling around the lower branches of the ancient tree, weaving between its roots like breath made visible. For a moment, shapes appear within it, not faces, not figures, but outlines of something that feels older than trees, older than soil, older than memory itself. You glance toward the path behind you. It is still there, but it feels unreal now, like a faint idea rather than a true way back. The trees bordering it stand closer together than before, their shadows overlapping into a single, dense wall of darkness. The forest is not blocking you. It is simply reminding you that leaving is no longer simple. A faint sound rises again from beneath the roots. Not a voice. Not wind. Not an animal. It feels closer now, more intimate, as though the forest is breathing directly beneath your feet. You close your eyes. Without sight, the shift becomes undeniable. The clearing no longer feels like empty space. It feels like a chamber, vast, ancient, and alive, where every tree, every root, every particle of soil participates in a single, unified presence. You sense layers beneath you, roots stretching like veins through darkness, soil shifting slowly around them, and something deeper still, moving in rhythms far older than the forest itself. When you open your eyes again, nothing looks different. Yet everything feels closer. The mist drifts toward you, stops just before touching your skin, then retreats slightly, like breath held, released, then held again. You realize the forest is waiting for something. Not your movement. Not your voice. Your breath. You inhale slowly. The ground beneath you softens in response. You exhale. The earth tightens again. You inhale once more. The branches above creak softly, as if acknowledging you. For a moment, it feels like conversation, not spoken, but deeply understood. The forest is not threatening you. It is recognizing you. Not as prey. Not as intruder. As something it has chosen to engage with. A deeper vibration passes through the clearing. It travels from the ancient tree outward, through the roots, beneath your feet, and into the darkness between the trunks. You feel it move through your body as well, not painfully, not violently, but intimately, as though you have become part of the forest's internal rhythm. You look up at the towering branches. They stretch above you like a frozen, twisted cathedral, blocking out the sky entirely. For a moment, it feels less like a forest and more like a sacred place, ancient, untouchable, and utterly indifferent to human presence. Yet you are here. And the forest knows it. You take one final step closer to the trunk. The ground beneath your feet yields slightly, receiving your weight in a way it never did before. The mist coils gently around your legs, then withdraws again, respecting the boundary between you and the forest. The sound beneath the roots deepens. Not louder. Closer. As if something vast and slow has shifted directly beneath where you stand. You place your other hand on the bark. For an instant, the world seems to hold its breath. No wind. No sound. No movement. Only presence. And in that stillness, you feel it clearly. The forest is not trying to harm you. It is not trying to trap you. It is not trying to scare you. It is trying to remember you the way it remembers everything that has ever touched this place. Your breath, your weight, your presence, all of it now woven into its ancient memory. The mist thickens around the roots. The branches creak softly above. The ground hums steadily beneath your feet. And somewhere deep beneath the ancient tree, something shifts again, slower than before, heavier, more deliberate. Not to attack. Not to reveal itself. Only to acknowledge you. You stand there, breathing slowly, hands resting on the ancient bark, feeling the silent dialogue continue through every part of the forest. The trees do not move. The shadows do not approach. The mist does not reach for you. Yet the connection is unmistakable. You are no longer simply passing through this forest. You are becoming part of it. Not physically. Not visibly. Through presence, memory, and breath. And as you stand there in the heart of the clearing, you understand something final and chilling. This place will never forget you. You remain standing at the ancient tree, and for the first time the forest feels neither distant nor close. It simply surrounds you, completely, calmly, and without hesitation. The mist no longer moves in wide coils. It drifts slowly, almost lazily, brushing the ground and weaving through the roots like breath that has finally settled into a natural rhythm. It does not reach for you, does not avoid you, does not react at all. It simply exists with you. The ground beneath your feet hums softly, steady and unbroken, like the deep heartbeat of something vast that has been alive far longer than any living thing you know. Above you, the branches remain still. No wind. No creak. No shift. Yet their presence feels heavier than ever, not threatening, but absolute, like a silent canopy that has watched centuries pass without needing to move. You remove one hand from the bark of the tree. Nothing happens. No tightening of air. No change in the ground. No shift in the mist. The forest does not react. Not because it no longer cares. Because the moment of recognition is already complete. You place your hand back on the trunk. The bark is cool, steady, Familiar now, not alien, not hostile, simply ancient. Beneath it, you still feel the slow pulse moving through the wood, through the roots, and deep into the earth. For a moment, you are no longer certain where your own heartbeat ends and the forest begins. They feel the same. You take one slow step back from the tree. The ground yields gently beneath your weight, then settles again, as if receiving you rather than resisting you. The mist shifts slightly, not toward you, not away from you, simply adjusting to your presence in a quiet, seamless way. You glance toward the path behind you. It is still there. Dark, narrow, bordered by silent trees. But it no longer feels like a way out. Not because the forest blocks you. Because you understand something deeper now. Leaving is possible. For your body. But not entirely for your presence. The forest has already taken something of you, not violently, not visibly, but through memory woven into soil, roots, and air. You turn your gaze back to the clearing. The ancient tree stands unchanged, vast and patient, its roots stretching outward like veins beneath the earth. The mist drifts softly around its base, rising and falling in a slow rhythm that feels eternal. You close your eyes. Without sight, the shift is unmistakable. You no longer feel like a visitor in this place. You feel like part of its breathing. You sense layers beneath you. Slow-moving roots. Deep soil shifting almost imperceptibly. And something far below that moves in rhythms older than forests, older than land, older than time itself. When you open your eyes again, everything looks exactly the same. Yet everything feels final. You realize something quietly chilling. The forest is not afraid of you. It is not curious about you. It is not even watching you anymore. It has already placed you inside its memory. A faint sound rises again from beneath the roots, slower now, deeper, almost imperceptible. Not a voice. Not wind. Not movement. Just breath. The breath of something too vast to see. You take one slow inhale. Cold air fills your lungs, smelling of damp earth, old bark, decaying leaves, and something ancient buried far beneath the roots. The forest exhales in return. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Gently. Inevitably. You understand now that this moment will never fully end. Even if you walk away, the clearing will remain aware of you. Even if years pass, the roots beneath this tree will still hold the echo of your footsteps, your breath, your presence. You step toward the path. The mist parts slightly, allowing you to pass, then drifts back into place behind you, not closing, not blocking, simply returning to its natural state. The trees along the edge of the clearing stand silent, unchanged, yet you feel their awareness follow you in a quiet, patient way. You reach the beginning of the path. It looks smaller than before, narrower, darker, but real. You pause. For a long moment, you stand between two worlds. The human path behind you, and the ancient heart of the forest before you. You take one final look at the clearing. The mist coils gently. The ancient tree stands unmoving. The ground hums softly beneath everything. Nothing calls to you. Nothing reaches for you. Yet you know, this place will never forget you. You step onto the path. The soil beneath your feet feels different now, not hostile, not welcoming, simply aware. Your footsteps make no sound, as if the earth has learned to hold them quietly. Behind you, the clearing remains exactly as it was. But something has changed forever. Not in the forest. In you. You walk slowly between the trees. The darkness does not press in. The branches do not move. The mist does not follow. Yet with every step, you feel a faint echo beneath your feet, a reminder that part of you still stands beside the ancient tree, breathing with the forest. You reach a point where the clearing is no longer visible. Only trunks, shadows, and winding path. You stop once more. For a heartbeat, you are certain you hear the forest breathing, deep, slow, and ancient, but the sound fades before you can be sure. You continue forward. The path stretches ahead, winding through darkness toward a world that no longer feels entirely real. And as you walk, one quiet truth remains. You can leave the forest. But the forest will never fully leave you. The night holds still. The trees watch without eyes. The earth remembers without words. And somewhere, deep beneath the ancient tree, the slow heartbeat of the forest continues, steady, eternal, and now forever linked to your own.